What is up, guys? Welcome back to Wild Rift University. I am Thing One, and we got an excellent video for you guys today. I'm with a friend of mine, Big Cuss. Bro, we've let's see, how long have we known each other now? Kind of. I mean, like, we don't really know each other, but we've been lightly playing with each other since AOV. I think almost like 4 years or something like that, right?
Probably at least. I know I've been playing AOV for a while. That was my first MOBA.
That was your first MOBA? Okay. And what role did you play in that game?
I was a mid lane. I played mostly Ingus, Marja, Trixie.
Okay. So you have a basic understanding of how mid works and how MOBAs work. And this is your first time playing League of Legends, right?
Yeah, I never was a PC player, so this is my first hoorah at this game.
Okay.
Everything's brand new.
Excellent. Yeah, I was a PC player as well, so I really liked AOV. AOV until this game came out was my favorite mobile MOBA, for sure. So let's take a quick second here and talk about also just this game. So what's your current rank right now?
I'm currently, the season just reset, so I'm
what's your best rank? Your best rank?
My best rank, I got Diamond 2 before, and that was
Okay.
2 seasons ago.
Okay, so Diamond 2. Excellent. And what would you say what's your rank goal? What are you trying to hit? Like, what's like, okay, once I hit this, like, that's the goal I want it to be at?
I wanted to hit Diamond, and then I wanted to hit Diamond 1, but I think Masters would be, like, a nice goal for me to make.
Okay.
Now everyone seems to be hitting Masters, so...
Okay.
Who knows?
Well, I think you're probably pretty close right now. And so I think when we talked, you're saying you're trying to learn Zed. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely one of my weakest champions. I've always been like AD kind of assassin types.
Okay.
I've always been like a nice poke, safe control mage.
Okay.
So definitely, like Poolin was I struggled the most in AOV, but Zed is what I'm really trying to master now. I think he could be a good one trick.
Okay, and then what mid laners do you play right now?
Right now, I was ADC last season, but normally I'm switching back to Mage. So I like Galio, Ziggs, Ori. Those are the 3 champs I had the most games on.
Okay.
A few hundred each.
So you have a caster, and then you have Galio as kind of all-around player, and then now you're trying to experiment with Zed. And about how many games do you have on Zed now?
I would say probably between all my accounts, maybe like 20,
Okay.
25.
Okay, so you're definitely still pretty new to Zed. Excellent. Well, let's talk about this matchup right now. So it looks like you're going against Ahri in the mid lane. So tell me, what's kind of like your thought process going against Ahri? Do you feel like you win that lane? Do you feel like you lose that lane? I know you don't have a ton of games, but like when you're approaching the game, what's your thought process?
Well, I think I actually blind picked this because I think the jungle and Seraphine picked first. So I was like, well, we already have 2 magic. I need to go AD.
Okay.
And so I picked, and then Ahri picked. So they probably picked that because it's probably a counter to me, which it could be, I would think. Totally.
So actually, so Ahri beats you like level 1, but you actually counter her after about level 2, I would say. And then how do you kind of feel just as your overall team comp, just looking, you got Olaf, Gwen, Zed, Jinx, Seraphine versus Jace, Amumu, Ahri, Kai'Sa, Thresh. What's your thought process going this game? How do you win this game? How do you think you guys win this game? Who do you feel has a stronger team fight? Who do you feel like wins early? Who wins late? What are your thought processes on that, like when you start to go into this game?
I mean, Gwen has always been pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jinx could be good, but, she's one of like the ADCs people most play when they're newer.
Yep.
So it's hit or miss.
Yep.
So, and Seraphine, I never really had much luck with her.
Okay.
Olaf, I feel, won't be locked down with the Amumu and the Thresh and the Ahri, so he could really pop off. And Gwen, I think those are my 2 strongest teammates right there.
Okay. So how are you looking to approach team fights then? Or what's your thought?
I'm going to try to go after Kai'Sa.
Okay.
I would try to single target, maybe Jace if I could, but he'll mostly like throw me away.
Okay.
I'm going to try to kill the back line.
Okay, cool. Well, let's start this game. Go ahead and start it now. And let's talk about it and watch it and just see what we see. So I'll kind of tell you some of my thoughts just right off the bat. So right away, kind of like what I was saying, In this lane, I feel like Ari does beat you level 1. So what I'd like to see is the beginning of the game, you to be like maybe a little bit careful, play a little bit passive, approaching the lane. But as soon as you hit level 2, I'm definitely looking for some aggression as well, but also just like kind of planned out aggression. And then the way that I kind of see the game going is their top lane, or I'm sorry, well, their ADC matchup is definitely a little bit stronger than your guys's as well at the beginning. And then Jace should beat Olaf at the start as well. So actually, one thing I kind of want to talk about real quick is just your ward placement. So let's just do a quick pause. So when the game first started, you placed your ward right in the bush. So like one thing that I like that you placed a ward there, but one thing I would kind of like want to see you think about, but first tell me, so why did you think putting the ward there right away was the right move?
I think because if I rotate, it's gonna be top.
Okay.
And I figure their junglers are gonna start red, so he's gonna path that way at
okay.
At 120.
Okay. So I think right here would kind of be a little bit of like understanding the matchup. So Amumu's basically almost always start blue because they really can't clear their jungle without it. So Amumu basically would have to start blue. He's also more of a late game champion, so he's not most likely going to gank right away. Now, I like the fact that you can go ahead and push play again. I like the fact that you actually put the ward down on the red side, but the way I would look at it is Amumu's going to clear his blue. He has a really slow clear, so he's not going to actually pop off like right away. So I would probably wait closer to like almost like the 120 to 130 mark to put down my ward as well. Like just in this situation, like kind of assess the jungler you're going against. Is this a jungler who's going to gank early? Is this a jungler who needs level 6? Amumu's a jungler that, and a lot of times needs level 6. Now, because you have an Aryan lane, he could technically gank you a little earlier. But technically what has to happen is you have to hit 2 skill shots in order to make it an effective gank. And Zed's a pretty hard champion to hit skill shots on. And then the other thing, like if you rewind it back a little bit, we don't have to though. See how you did this right here? You used your shurikens and your shadow to like poke on Ari while you got to push back to the tower. Earlier, you kind of like jumped to your shadow versus just continuing to poke with it. In that situation, that's how you actually win the lane, by popping the shadow off and then poking it. You don't really want to jump to it. The only time that you would really jump to it is after maybe she's blown some abilities. Actually, if you... that was just a little bit ago. Actually, if you zoom back to about like basically 2 minutes, or just before 2 minutes, about like, let me know when you're at like 2 minutes and 56 seconds, or 1 minute and 56 seconds. I apologize.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
Okay, cool. Just go ahead and hit play. So right here, this would have been a decent spot after she threw her charm to like maybe jump in, because she already used her charm and she used her her basic main attack, so she wouldn't have any way to really push up against you. Here, I really like what you did. The fact that you walked out of lane and paused for a minute was really great, because kind of what you did is you gave the illusion of her backing, or the illusion of you backing, which allowed you to hard push the lane as well. So that was a really good thing. And here, I thought this was a really high level play. So like right now, you're walking up to the river. But let me also kind of point this out. So like if you would have waited longer to put down your ward, like closer to the 130, 140 mark, kind of like I was talking, you would have had the ward in the bush as you're walking top. So it would have given you a little bit more clearance. But this roam top was super smart. I wish you would have pinged a little bit to let your team know that you're coming, but super great roam. And then I also love right here, like, you're helping push out the lane. And then as soon as your support hits the ult, you immediately go back in and help clean it up. You get an easy double kill right away.
What I have done.
And then right here, pushing back to mid, I'd say this is kind of like a either or call. So you have quite a bit of gold and she's already backed on you. So pushing back and your ult's down, it is kind of dangerous to go back and push right there. Maybe go back and actually buy. Now, she wasn't super aggressive and you played a little passive. If she was a smart player, knowing that you ulted, she should have went all in on you right here because your ult's down. She still has ult. She has items on you. So if you did go back to the lane like you did, I would have played very passive, pushed the lane as much as I can, then backed instead of pushing up the way that you did as well. Because you're pretty strong right now. But I also get like wanting to clear the wave. It's just if you do something like that and you realize the enemy team has backed already and you haven't, you're on one item. They're on like a half item already. So I would kind of consider that as well. It's not a bad play. I just feel like you shouldn't have been so aggressive. Here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you said that in one of your other videos that a gold advantage doesn't count unless you buy items.
Yeah, a gold advantage doesn't count unless you buy items. Here I liked when you were about to go top lane and then you are back to ADC's lane, but you stopped. I thought that was pretty smart. Now here, you're starting to rotate. Pause the video real quick. So I'm at like a minute or 4 minutes and 39 seconds. I don't know where you're at. So right here. Oh, you're at 463? Scroll back a little bit to like 439.
Okay. Yep, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so you just pushed the wave and everything, and you're just a little while ago, you're about to rotate, you stopped, you came back, you pushed the wave, and now, because what you're going to do is you're about to rotate top, but you saw them backing up, so you stopped. And now you can see them on the map because your team's pushing, that they're starting to back, but they're all the way by their tower and everything. So right here, like, I kind of feel like what happened is you had a really successful rotation and you're wanting to rotate, and I think that was good. But once you came up here and you see that there's two of them going in right here, go ahead. Yeah, what was your thought process in this? What was your thought process in this?
You know, I wasn't thinking, I don't think, and that's where I rewatched this replay, which sometimes I do, is I should have put my S2 in the bush, ulted in, and then I could have just S2 and I would have been clear of everyone. You know what I mean?
So you could have done that. You could have done that. What I think the better play would have been, which, yeah, you could have done that. I don't think you would have killed him anyways because it was a Thresh. Because right now you're making a very aggressive, you're using your ult in an aggressive manner, which technically is more of a defensive placement. Because you don't actually win that fight, the 2v1. You're not that strong yet, especially with the Kai'Sa there. What may have been good is to like put your shadow there, show them the presence, rotate back up to the tower, and help your team push that tower. Because what happened now, if you pay attention to the map, Dragon's up. Dragon was on its way up the best thing to do is after you had mid pushed, I would have backed again if you had enough gold. We can't tell because we don't have your gold showing. Buy one more item, even if it's just a longsword, push back up into the wave to be ready for Dragon. But instead what happened is you rotated top, your ult is down now, Dragon's coming up, and even if you did make that rotation top, showing your presence would have probably deferred them back, and you could have maybe helped push that tower and gotten that tower faster without dying or giving away gold as well. So I think that would have been probably like the better play, but you know, that's, I think you're just being a little bit greedy. You're strong, you're feeling fed, and you're wanting to get, I think that's sometimes a lot what happens with people when they start to get strong and they feel like, hey, I can carry this game, I'm really strong. Sometimes they just go ham in every single play rather than assessing like the situation as well. It's like, okay, yeah, they tunnel vision into like, I've just got to get kills. I just got to get kills. So right here, yep, I think you're definitely doing the right thing, pushing the wave. What I would like kind of see is pinging your team to back off and like pinging the dragon. Because I feel like that's kind of like where your guys' attention should be. It shouldn't necessarily be on trying to push a second tier tower. Now, of course, you can't control what your team does, but what you can do is try and help direct them with your pings. Unfortunately, the camera's a little like wavy back and forth, so it's kind of hard to see like if that's you pinging or someone else. Here, this rotation right here was pretty good down. Now, right here, so let's pause for a quick second, okay? Actually, no, never mind, don't pause.
Where are you at right now?
6 minutes, 20 seconds.
Okay, that's where I'm at.
Okay, go ahead and just push play. So right here, you made a good rotation towards the Rift Herald in order to stop them from getting it, but you ulted on their jungler. So do you feel like that was the right decision or no? Why do you feel like ulting on the jungler was the right decision? Because the Olaf was right there attacking him. Do you feel like that kill was secured or no?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So like pause it real quick. Just pause it right now. I'm at 6 minutes and 51 seconds. So let's imagine you didn't ult there. So do you believe that the Amumu was going to die even if you didn't ult him because the Olaf was there?
Looking back, yeah, he would have died.
Okay. So let's say you didn't use your ult and you just went down to bot lane like you did and the Jace was there. If you would have had your ult, you probably would have killed him. You would have one-shot him and killed him. And then when you dropped this Rift Herald that you dropped, it actually would have increased the chances of killing that tower. But let's watch what happens now. So it wasn't bad it wasn't like you did something bad by using your ult, but sometimes what happens is people get really kill hungry, and what happens when you take all the kills, it isn't a bad thing to take all the kills, especially when you're trying to carry, but you do want to, in a small degree, spread gold around at the same time, because otherwise what happens is you get such a huge bounty on yourself. If you die, you give the enemy a chance to get back in. So you kind of have to assess the situation. Getting kills on another champion is good, but you could have tried to get the kill, but not utilizing your ult, because if you used your ult on the Jace, you would have killed the Jace. You shouldn't, and you wouldn't have dropped the Rift Herald in the tri-bush. So because you didn't drop the Rift, or because you didn't kill the Jace, I'm paused, by the way, at 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Why did you drop the Rift Herald in the tri-bush? What was that a misclick, or what was your thought process there?
No, I actually thought if I got the bot tower down, that would free Olaf off to do some roaming.
Okay.
Where his immunity could be better served, against mid or against Thresh or whatever.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Him up.
I definitely agree with that. So I think like utilizing the rift at the bot tower, or the top tower, whatever you would technically want to call it, is definitely the right call. I feel like the timing was a little off because you dropped it against a full health turret. So, and the Jace is still in lane with full health as well. So he's not going to be able to take the turret against a poking Jace. So you're basically going to hurt the tower when technically you could have held on to the rift to use it in a situation where you're guaranteed a tower as well. I'm going to hit play. Once again, I was at 651. So I like the fact that you did rotate back to mid as well. Even though they're kind of like fighting top, there's really no reason for you to like engage on that because you can't get there in time. You are kind of going to engage on this dragon, as you can see. Now, I wouldn't actually have gone to engage on that dragon. I would have just kept pushing mid. The reason being is, once again, utilizing the information you have on the map. So what information did you have on the map? None of your team was there. You knew they had a bunch of people there. They were focused on the dragon. You probably could have almost killed that mid tower if you would have just stayed mid and focused it. Or what may have happened, you may have scared them off the dragon because they were afraid to lose the tower, and then they would have backed up, maybe giving your team time. Most likely they wouldn't have backed up, but maybe they would have, and it had given your team more time. This I really like. You're focusing the carry, catching out the carry right here. Unfortunately, your Gwen played it super bad. She flashed over versus she gave away the flank, but you guys cleaned it up. I think that was really good. And I also really like right here that you went right back up to top to make sure the top is pushing in your favor. What I would like to see a little bit sooner, like one of your teammates pinged mid, pinging them not to fight, because one of the things that I'm kind of noticing in the game, you guys aren't really winning full-on team fights right now. You guys are winning more so when you're getting little pick-offs, and kind of like based on their team comp, it makes a lot of sense because the Thresh CC, the Mumu CC, kind of really counters your team a lot. And unless you have the Olaf there as a front line or you there to pick off a squishy, it's kind of difficult for your team to go all in when the Thresh can zone and pick and peel people, and the Amumu can just ult everybody once they go on in as well. So I would kind of be looking for like picks, which is I feel like kind of like what you are doing, but I feel like hear how you're pinging, letting your team know what you're going to do and what not to do at the same time is kind of like the right play. So actually pause it right here. A minute, 9:17. So right here, you just killed Jace. And this was a great roam. And I actually love what you do right after it. Now, one thing, like this is a small thing. You didn't do anything wrong, but something that will help you just improve even more. So scroll back just a tiny bit to right when you walked into the lane. To just a couple seconds back. To like right when you walked into the lane. To kill the Jace.
So I'm at 9:21 right now. Where are you at?
Give me a second here. I'm trying to get back to right where you killed the Jace. Okay, so yeah, you killed the Jace. I'm at like 9:16, but that's fine. So when you walked in, the very first thing you did was you shadowed straight forward. Okay, even though you had a good angle on him, what I would have done, and like I said, you technically did nothing wrong because you shadowed straight forward in order to get ulted onto him real quick. But imagine if you shadowed straight forward and he had flash, and he could have flashed out of your range, and now you no longer have your shadow, and now you're forced to burn flash. If you walk in and try to bait the abilities out of him to see if you can get, because sometimes what you can actually get two winning ganks, the kill plus a baited ability. A lot of times people go in and immediately just try to kill the person, and you have to assess the situation like, hey, do I have to immediately kill this person because he'll get away or not? But you had flash up, you had your shadow up. If you would have walked in, you could have seen like, okay, is he going to burst flash or not? And then what you could have done is ulted on him, shadowed in front of him, so in case he did have flash, or put the shadow in front of him, so that way in case he did have flash, you could just catch up with him. I said technically nothing wrong, but just like a little thing that you could think about where it's like, okay, when I'm going into this lane, do I have to use this ability right away? Or can I use this ability as a bait in order to try and get more of a win out of this kill? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, because a lot of times, like, it's like Ezreal or Tristana, like, if I know they have a dash, I will ult and save my shadow for that dash.
Exactly. That's an exact...
So
especially,
I wasn't sure on his timers, but I figure, I had a 50-50 chance.
Yep, especially, you would have probably killed him either way, but especially also the way of looking at this, Jace has a knockback. So if you use your thing, he knocked you back, and let's say your ult didn't kill him, if you didn't have your shadow up, you couldn't shadow forward to finish him off. I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm at 9 minutes and 17 seconds. So that's a real small thing. You made the right play by rotating, and you also made the right play by leaving the lane and letting the Gwen go ahead and push it. So like, great rotation, great play. I love that you're taking the river scuttle as well. I feel like you're really playing to like your champion's identity right here. You're going around, you're getting picks for the team also. Here I also like this, so like you're playing more of the poke and everything, using your shadows to poke versus just go all in right there. I feel like that was really solid. Here what I'd be doing is, I don't really necessarily feel like pushing this is actually the best call. I think what probably would have been better is to tell your team to back up and set up for the rift. Now, you got a kill and everything, but now look what's happening. Like, your team's having to back up right when rift is about to spawn. and you're low health. But what could have happened is you could have backed, had some item buys in, and your team could have pushed forward to Rift. So that would have been one thing. And like I said, you could have pinged them all off. But that's just, like I said, another like small thing, because the higher up in the ranks that you're getting, the more people are going to think about these types of things as well. Also, the thing that I would kind of notice is you haven't backed in a long time as well. So like you're getting lots of gold, but you're not utilizing the gold to your advantage. So that would be another thing I would say about that right there. But I'm glad you're backing. Here though, I think you could have killed Ahri. I feel like you're a lot stronger than her. I think you could have killed her, especially if you had ult up. Do you remember if you had ult up right there or not?
I don't remember. I think I had used it at that tower fight before, so I probably was down.
It might have been down. Okay, yeah, I can't remember. If you had ult up, you definitely could have killed Ahri right there, for sure. So, what's kind of like your thought process like on the flow of the game right now?
If I remember correctly, I think we were doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, I know I just have to keep farming and get to late game and keep doing kind of what I was doing. I was kind of happy with the way I was playing, like picking off what I could pick off.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm still learning the character, so I'm still learning his combos and his limits and stuff. So basically, I'm just farming.
Yeah, no, I feel like you're utilizing the combos well. I feel like you're utilizing the character well also. And I do like that you're trying to continuously keep your farm up. Right here, I like this rotation down and not continuing to push the mid, because you need to help defend and help your teammate as well. So this was a good rotation. What I would like to see in this fight is for you to poke them with your shadows and your shuriken. But what you did, pause it real fast. So I'm at 12 minutes and 25 seconds. So when you first went down, how you dropped your shadow through your shurikens and used your little spin thing, whatever that's called, that was the proper way to approach that fight. Because right now you guys are outnumbered, and you're just trying to get poke. They have more poke than you down there because of the Jace, but you're fed. So you have to kind of think, what's the thing that's going to scare the team from going in? It's your ult. But you utilized your ult on the tank. Now watch how the aggression of the team, as soon as like when you came down, they were playing scared. They're actually scooting back. But as soon as you use your ult on the tank, go ahead and push play on that 12:28. They immediately start being more aggressive and pushing forward, because they know your win factor in the fight is now down. But if you would have saved the ult in order to suppress their engage, it would have helped you a lot more, and maybe giving you a better chance. I love the fact that you stopped their back there as well. That was really good. I feel like a lot of times people don't stop their back, especially since you had the top lane pushing as well. So that, I feel like, was a pretty good thing to go ahead and stop the back there. Okay. What I would have done, even though the dragon was coming up, I wouldn't have gone straight to dragon. The reason being is because you knew you just stopped their back, okay? And you could have gotten maybe a buy-in, and your team kind of like isn't necessarily in position. So go ahead and pause it real quick. I'm at 13 minutes and 23 seconds. So you guys make a good play here, but it's kind of like, to me, it's the risk to reward ratio. So their whole team just backed. Your Jinx is dead, okay? Your Olaf is bot lane for some reason. Your Seraphine was still at base, and your Gwen was basically there by herself. So yeah, you guys could go in and fight, but you're potentially going to fight a 4v5 if they all rotate. Now, obviously, we see where they are, but realistically, you don't know where they are because they're in the fog of war. So because you just stopped their back, you could have backed, bought an item, came back with your team. This time you're engaging as a group rather than engaging as one and poking off. Now, they play it horribly, which works out to your advantage. I'm pushing play again. I'm 13 minutes, 25 seconds. They go all in on you guys, and you guys jump on in. What I like that you did here, so like some of the fights I was kind of telling you, go ahead and pause it real quick. Pause again. I'm at 13 minutes and 35 seconds. So even though like you guys went in too early, you changed this. you adapted to the situation, you played it right. Like you guys backed off right away, and you let them engage on the dragon. And then when they did that, the Seraphine hit the ult. And what I liked is you actually just used your abilities as a poke versus what you were doing a lot of other times that we've talked about. You just immediately ulted all in, used your abilities as a poke, and you were patient with your ult. And then once the Amumu got low, then you ulted in as well. I thought that was really good. Now, as we continue this fight, as you watch, you're kind of like just sitting in the backfield. You're trying to, like, you're bouncing back and forth, trying to decide what to do right there. So what was kind of like going through your head in that situation? Go ahead and just rewind real fast to right after you like ulted the Amumu. So like, let's say like a minute and, or let's do like 13:22. So 13:22, go ahead and push play. You do good, you're waiting, you're being patient. You're using your shadow. Amumu's low, you go all in. All right, and then pause right at 13:33. You come back to your shadow. The Jace is right on top of you and everything. And what you do is you flash over the wall. I get like, okay, you can go ahead and push play. I get you flashing because you're really low, and if the Jace jumped on you, it would kill you. But what I probably would have done there, instead of flashing over the wall, I would have flashed towards my team, because then it would have been a 3-on-2 still, and you still would have a decent amount of health. The Jace would have still jumped onto the Gwen, but you would have been there to poke damage. But instead what happened is, you and the Seraphine were kind of like in the middle of a weird place, because the Seraphine didn't want to go forward, because it would have been a 2v1 on her. The Gwen was kind of stuck in one spot as a 2v1, and you didn't want to go in and be in a 2v2. So you technically, once again, you didn't really do anything wrong by running away, but if you would have ran away in a different way, you would have actually utilized your team's strength to actually win that fight, and you probably wouldn't have had 2 deaths right there. Here, well, Jinx is trying to kill this Amumu. I actually thought you were going to do exactly what I was hoping you were going to do. Like, you were standing in front of her, blocking for the Amumu, but then for some reason you kind of walked off to the side. But realistically, the Jinx shouldn't have been there, so it's really not your fault either. Just, that's kind of like one thing that you can do. Like, I think one of the hardest things that most people find is like, what do I do when, pause it real quick. Pause it at 14:58 if you can. But a lot of things I see a lot of people do is they talk about like, man, how do I help my team when they're playing so bad? Like right there, like even if you were telling her ping and she wouldn't, well, you know their team's not up yet. What you could kind of do is try and help them by standing in front of them, unless you know it's just an absolutely dumb play and their team's spawning, we're all going to die. But in that situation, you would have died. You could have just like tanked a little bit of damage for her and she probably would have killed the Amumu. But once again, not a bad play, just a small thing that like could potentially maybe help, because the higher rank you get, the more you have to learn how to walk the line in order to move forward. So let's kind of, let's say I have it paused at 14:58. Let's look at the scoreboard and items real quick. So I really, I like your item build out too. So Yomi's Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Edge of Night. I think those are all really great item picks as well. As you can see on the scoreboard, you're clearly carrying the game really well. You're rotating around the map super well and everything. I like that. You went Mercury Treads as well. So definitely like the way that you're building. I think the Edge of Night was a really good call. I know people don't always go Edge of Night, but against this team comp, I felt like it was really great because you got the Ari Charm, you got the Amumu ult, you got the Thresh Hook, you got the Jace freaking accelerated shot. So I feel like that was a really great itemization right there.
Normally I save that for last, but with this comp, I said I should build it more early.
No, I think that was definitely the right choice for sure. And I think building the Black Cleaver was still really good. At first, when I was thinking Black Cleaver, when I first watched the video, I was like, But I was like, oh, they are pretty tanky, especially also because the Thresh was pretty fed in the beginning. So having that Black Cleaver is definitely pretty good. I'm going to push play at 14:58. Here, I would kind of like to see pinging the team back off. They are backing off, but just keeping that like in their mind. So right now, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. You're poking with your ability. This isn't really your fault. Your team goes in when they shouldn't go in. So Right here, what my thought process would be is, so right now you're poking the champions. I would have saved that ability for the minions, actually. Reason being is you guys are outnumbered, and they're going to dive if minions are there. But if they don't have minions there, they're just going to walk around in circles. So when you have that outnumbered situation, I would utilize your shadow and shurikens and everything in the little spin move more so on the minions than as a poke, because you're not going to really kill them in an outnumbered situation. And then right here, pause it. 1550. So we've talked about this a couple times in the fight, and I think this is probably going to be one. I hope this is the thing you learn the most from this video, especially playing Zed. So there's been multiple times where you've engaged with your ult on the tank, and you've engaged in defensive situations. So yeah, you're Zed, and you are an assassin, and your job is to kill, and your ult is designed to kill. But kind of like how, remember when we were talking about when you guys were bot lane, and you used your ult on the Amumu, and as soon as you did, they started being more aggressive to you? So understanding your ult's primary purpose is to kill is great, but also understanding that you can utilize the fact that you have an ult as a defensive mechanism as well. They're going to be scared to engage on you because they know if they engage on you, you could potentially drop your ult on top of one of their squishies, kill them, and then they're at a disadvantage. But now that you've utilized your ult, what you're doing by doing that is you're telling your team, let's go in, whether it's a good fight or not. And the squishies now know that, hey, there's no way that they can kill me instantly because he doesn't have an ult. So being patient with your ult, utilizing it as a defensive mechanism, and right here, just using your shadow and all your abilities as poke rather than full engage is definitely the better decision. What are your thoughts? Because why do you feel like, because you've done both. You've done it where you've waited, like in the Dragon Pit against Amumu, you waited perfectly to utilize your ult in the right situation. But you also have situations, what do you think is causing you to utilize your ults at different times? Like sometimes you're using it at the right time, sometimes you're not. What's your thought process?
Honestly, I think just inexperience.
Inexperience? Okay.
Yeah, I would say that.
What do you feel like you could do that would help you remember to utilize your ult, like in a defensive way when it needs to be defensive, or to be patient with it? Because there's been so many, I really loved your video because there's so many examples of times where like you played it perfect, you engaged hard when you needed to engage hard, you waited patient when you needed to be patient. There's times that you were patient when you should have been aggressive. There's times where you were aggressive when you should have been patient. It was just, I thought it was really good learning video, a super good learning video. And also you played so well at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it just comes with games played.
Yep.
You know, I think now that I'm glad we've been doing this because, you know, I looked at Zed as an all-in kind of character, but really it's more of a poke, and then all-in. And I had to remember that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like there are times he is just all in, but using the poke in the right situation works really effectively. And do you get what I'm saying when I'm talking about like utilizing the ult defensively?
You talk about if I'm getting dived on to use it?
No. So like how, remember when you were bot lane with the Gwen and then they were like all engaged, and then as soon as you use the ult, they started being aggressive on you. And then right here,
yeah, no, for sure.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna hit play. I'm at 1550.
Keeps them guessing.
Exactly, keeps them guessing, because once you utilize that ability, think about it like this: if Malphite goes in and misses his ult, then you know, like, oh, we can win this team fight easy because they don't have their Malphite engage. You're the strongest person in the game. You're the equivalent of basically using the Malphite ult. And if you don't kill somebody with the ult or make them so low that they have to run away, you basically whiffed your Malphite ult. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
All right, I'm going to start at 1550. So right here, now your whole team is you guys have lost this fight basically right here, and you guys are having to back up. Also, you didn't have your champion with you. Oh, the Jinx actually made a solid play right there. Dang. All right, right here. Yep, just looking. I'd just be looking to push and poke. Right here, I actually would probably be backing. I wouldn't be going all in right here. But man, that was actually really good. That was really, really good by them. I think that was a little risky because you guys were low and they still had a lot of health, but you guys actually utilized your ults really well. So I mean, I think that was actually really great, actually. And that one right at the right before, like, I'm at like about 1643. Yeah, definitely turned the tide really quickly. Now, the one thing I would say, like, if you just pause the video real quick, 1652 is where I'm at. So right now, you guys are all kind of dancing. You guys just made a great play. Realistically, I think it probably would have been smarter to back, but they misplayed, didn't hard engage on you guys while you were low. And then because of that, you were able to poke them down and win the fight. But look at the map right now, 1652. You guys are all kind of just dancing around the mid lane. And this is something I feel like, well, people are starting to grow and trying to get to the next level. Once they get the mid tower down, they kind of try and play ARAM. So look at the map right now. What do you think you should be doing?
Well, they have 2 dead.
Mm-hmm.
Not the jungler. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, bot tower looks like it's an easy pickings.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So one of the things that you have to realize is once you try and get to higher levels, you guys aren't going to end the game here. There's no way. They still have the Thresh and the Ahri up and everything. It's only 16 minutes and 50 seconds and everything. There's probably you guys are all basically half health, and the Amumu's still alive as well. So it's a 3v5, and all of you are half health, and there's 3 alive. There's no way you're going to end the game whatsoever. What I would have done is I would have definitely gone straight to bot lane and pushed that tower, and then I would have had somebody else push the top lane. Or what actually would have been better is one person push the bot lane tower and the other people clear out their whole jungle. Because then what you're doing here is you're gaining more gold for yourself and your team by getting the tower, and you're creating more map pressure, and you're also denying gold because you guys have lane priority. So I would think like that. I would have pushed back to the other wave. After I got that tower, I would have cleared their whole jungle out, and then I would have backed. I'm going to push play. I'm at 1652. But watch what you guys actually do. You guys just keep sitting here in the mid lane, trying to poke, trying to end the game when it's not really endable. When you could have easily, even now, you guys still could have went to the bot tower and not. Right here, pushing this wave, good call. Like I said, I think pushing the wave was good, but I would have just pushed the wave and immediately left. I wouldn't have gone in right here. As soon as I saw them, as soon as I got that first wave push, I would immediately back and I would have stole their whole jungle, is what I would have done. But now that they know that you're there, it's a little bit more risky to steal their jungle, but I would have just killed that one minion, had the wave push, and then immediately cleared as much of their jungle as I could. I think that would have been like the better play. And then also, it also isn't terrible because you did get rid of the Ahri Zhonya's, so that isn't too bad either. So what's looking at the game right now, how do you feel like, because I feel like this is one of the biggest things people struggle with. How do you win the game and kill the enemy nexus right now? We're at 1758. Looking at the game, what's your thought? How do you end the game? Because I feel like a lot of times what happens with players, especially like in the diamond elo, is they forget how to end the game. So I think like right there was also a great example of like when to use your alt aggressive, because we've been talking about when to be aggressive with it, when to be patient with it. That was a perfect time to use your alt aggressive, and that was actually a game like winning play right there. You went, oh man, this Olaf is being a Chad right now. Look at his health. Holy crap! This guy needs to run away. Oh my god, dude, this Olaf is. He is going in with 10 HP, dude. This Olaf is a Chad. But anyways, oh my god, dude. Look at this Olaf. Dude, he lived with like 2 HP. That is insane. But anyways, so going in right there was actually a great utilization of being aggressive when you should. And so that's a good example. So like you were aggressive when you needed to be, gained an advantage, took an objective that's going to help you end the game as well. A lot of times what people will do when they get ahead and they have the game won is they'll just continue to push mid, continue to push mid, continue to push mid. not looking for different ways to extend the lead, to extend the game. Right here, I want, kind of like you see, everybody's wanting to push mid. I wouldn't be doing that, especially because they have such a strong team fight. It's not the worst thing in the world because you guys are so far ahead. Oh, I love this as well. This was another great example. I feel like at the end of the game, you were utilizing your ult right. You were patient with your ult. You didn't just jump in and ult immediately. You jumped in, you used some abilities, then you ulted, and you blew like 2 Zonias, and you killed somebody. Like, that was a great example of like utilizing your ult properly and using your abilities to bait out abilities. Because a lot of times when people see assassins, especially like at lower elo, they just utilize their abilities right here. This right time, even though you ulted the Amumu, I think that was also a good time to use it because right now you're in ending phase. You guys have the Baron buff. Go all in. Get as much damage out as you can. The Seraphine also, they were all clumped up. Gives easy ult for the Seraphine. So I think like it was really cool to see your last 3 ults of the game actually be, I'm going to pause it real quick right at the point thing where it shows the score. The last 3 ults of the game, you utilized your ult really well. And it was cool to see like how in different portions and different times, when it was really obvious that your team was pushing and being aggressive, you did it really well. But you definitely have, and you kind of said it yourself, you look at Zed as an always go all in champion, which he is. I think something that would really step up your game with Zed is realizing when to use the ult, when to use it defensively, and when to use it offensively. And defensively, once again, meaning I'm not going to, like, they're pushing us. I'm not just going to utilize my ult right away. I'm going to focus more on poking. And then once I have somebody low enough, then I'm going to try and get in there with my ult and then maybe blow somebody up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You agree? But yeah, I mean, dude, you played super well. Like, I thought the game was such an excellent game. You went 8-1 or 8-1 and 11. And then what was your I'm trying to see here. I'm trying to get back to your damage. What was your damage? Your damage is ridiculous. 3,200. So, I mean, for just having a few games on Zed, really great gameplay overall. And you played really solid. What questions do you have?
When do I use Zed?
When do you use Zed?
When do I pick him over, like, say, Ari or Ziggs or Galio?
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, why would I pick Zed?
So I like Zed. I like Zed into like really squishy comps. So like I feel like this is actually a pretty good comp to go Zed. Like I like Zed into Ari because Ari is so hard to catch, but Ari can't really get away from Zed because you can ult on top of her and everything. So squishy comps assassins are always best into squishy comps. You would never want to pick Zed into a team full of like tanks and things like that. That's basically how you'd look at it. Or if let's say, think about it like this as well. If you got a team full of early game champions versus a bunch of late game champions, or let's say a team full of early game champions versus a team of mixed, maybe like 1 or 2 early game champions, 1 mid game champion, and 2 hyper carries late game. Depending on what types of champions those are, that can also be a scary time to pick Zed because Zed technically kind of falls off mid game. He's not a super great late game champion. Picking Zed into hard CC comps are pretty dangerous as well because they can stun you. So, like, for example, those times that you're being aggressive when you should have been defensive, if you're playing against a good team, you would not have gotten away. You would have died every single time you went in because they would have hard CC'd you. That's the other reason why it's really important to you to learn at this time I can't use my ult because we're playing defensively and I had to focus more on the poke. I really like champions like Ziggs and Ari into more like defend comps. So like if you have a comp that's trying to like defend, you can poke them out and everything. So like but Zed, you really want more into like people who are playing like assassin, a bunch of squishy champions as well.
Now,
does that make sense?
Who would you pick against like Yoni and Yasuo?
Oh, Yoni or Yasuo? So Zed's a pretty good pick into like Yoni or Yasuo. I wouldn't do Ori or Ziggs into Yasuo because he's basically just going to wind wall through, or no, I'm sorry, he's going to wind wall your abilities, and then he's also just going to dash through minions to jump on top of you and just dash away. So make it really difficult. And then once he gets about level 6, he can all in you a lot easier than you can. So Zed would be a lot better because of his mobility and poke ability. Both are still kind of hard. Yasuo would definitely be the hardest into all those because a lot of Zed's abilities you would more so shadow in, try and attack him face on. First you want to, of course, like knock out his shield, but you want to attack him like hand to hand and then shadow away back to safety. And then, like, maybe as he's coming at you, trying to get out of the wind wall to get a little more damage on you, throw shurikens at him as he, like, walks towards you. It's kind of... Yasuo's a really interesting matchup. Like, all-in champions kind of beat Yasuo early, but then late when he starts to scale, he kills everybody kind of one-on-one, especially if he has minions around him.
I struggle with him. I've been actually playing Garen mid against Yasuo and Yoni.
Yeah, you can do Garen mid. You can also do like Riven against him, Renekton against him, and stuff like that. Those aren't too bad against him as well. More like you want strong, like all-in champions on him because Yasuo is pretty weak early, but you can beat Yasuo with Zed early, but it's a skill matchup. It is a skill matchup because of his wind wall. Does that make sense? Yeah, his passive. That's the other reason why you have to be aggressive on Yasuo. You can't let him constantly proc his passive over and over again. I don't know if you watched the video where I was talking about the Challenger Immortal, or not Challenger Legend top laner when he was playing Garen versus the Malphite. I was like, the only way Garen wins this is if he's constantly aggressive, because if he just allows the Malphite to let his shield proc over and over again, he'll lose. Now you have to know how to play it, because if you're just constantly aggressive, you'll lose also. You have to utilize the correct timing to be aggressive by learning how to bait out abilities, bait minions, and stuff like that. That's like a whole nother video in and of itself, just talking about those types of things.
Nope, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a great question. What other thoughts or questions you have, or what's something that you learned this video that you didn't really consider in the past?
The big thing I learned, I rewatched this video maybe 2 or 3 times before this, but basically the poke part. You know, when to go in, when not to go in, and it's okay to not go all in. It's okay just to poke and burn cooldowns and stuff like that. I had to be more patient.
Yep. I think that's probably, and I agree, probably like one of the best things you could have learned. And it was cool, like I said in the video, to see how I feel like you were almost naturally learning it as the game was going on. But hey, Cuss, great video, man. Great doing the video with you. I appreciate you talking with us and everything. Thank you for coming to Wild Rift University, and hopefully this was helpful. And guys, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe to the video. We'll do more videos like this. If you want your video broken down as well, message us, let us know. Or if you're in Big Cuss's Facebook page, message him. He can get in contact with me as well. But look forward to talking to you guys in the next video. Peace out.